Hello and welcome to another episode of Red State Blues. Coming at you here from the salon in the middle of Michigan. I'm your host Ben, here with the other host Melanie.
Hi there.
Yeah, back at her here. We got a few things we want to talk about today anyway.
Yep.
On the podcast. Some are relevant to Michigan, some probably not. Well, everything is, I suppose, in a way, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
But, yeah, the first thing I really kind of wanted to talk about was we just watched a YouTube video on about an astronaut, or with an astronaut in it, talking about his book, basically. But it's from a YouTube channel called Big Think, and he's talking about having like a... his name's Ron Guerin, and he's talking about having like a bird's eye view kind of on the world, if that makes sense, like an astronaut's view, like kind of zoomed out, you know, and you can kind of see the world more holistically, I guess. How like everything's kind of interconnected. It just was a great video, and I think everybody should watch it actually. Good.
I think it was striking when he was talking about like when he was looking out the space station window and seeing the thin film that allows life to be on Earth, like how close we are to.
Like it'd be like a little solar breeze could like just knock it away, and like everything would just be dead, you know. Like, and it's just like he's kind of right.
And we're so dependent on that, and that existing, the ozone existing, depends on everyone.
Yeah, and it's not even that. I think what he was saying was like in this, it's like we are responsible for all the wars, all the pillaging, all the looting, all of the problems on the planet today, all the climate change now, you know, all of the flooding and everything like that. Like that's humans are responsible for this, and I think that like we have to see. He was saying we have to see ourselves as part of the world. You know what I mean? Not just like free of everything. You know what I mean? And
we need to see the world as made up of the same things we are, and we need it to survive an interdependence instead of it is a resource to be exploited for the economy.
Yeah. And that's what he was getting at. I mean, I didn't read his book, so I don't know. I just watched this YouTube video, and I should read the book actually. It looks really great.
It looks really good.
I really like that. I guess a lot of astronauts, he was saying, have had this sort of perspective shift over the years, where being up there for so many months or whatever, and that can really change you. And he just sounds like a really smart guy, that's for sure. So I really like that. What else was he saying? I kind of like that he kind of acted like empathy would be one of the keys a bit. So, and it seems to be like there's other people who have said stuff like this, like tribal leaders, and like the Dalai Lama. It seems like something the Dalai Lama would say. You know what I mean? Like that's the sort of stuff that like wise leaders typically will say too, if they're smart. And it's just like, we need to we're going to destroy ourselves. We're going to destroy the planet and ourselves here, you know, soon. If we just keep up just our same old lack of self-awareness on this planet. So,
and holding up, you know, individualism and the economy ahead of all the species
he was saying
on
like
Earth.
what we do kind of is put the economy first. We need to put the economy. It's not like we need to make the economy go away.
No.
But we need to make the you know, it's like you said, we have it right now where it's like what economy, society, planet, in that order. You know what I mean? Instead, we need to make a planet, society, economy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Economy needs to be the third thing down the list. Not that it needs to go away. I don't think he's trying to say that, you know, we need to get rid of capitalism or anything.
But we can't sacrifice our planet for it.
Yeah.
Which is what we're doing right now.
Well, this feeds into the other discussion that I wanted to have really quick, too. Because, one possible solution to help us along with this is the nuclear fusion breakthrough that apparently happened. And they still have a really long ways to go on all of it. But for the first time, they actually managed to harvest some amount of energy, apparently, from nuclear fusion. And that's something they've been working on for 60 years. Since the invention of the hydrogen bomb. I watched Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about everybody. Yeah, this isn't like everybody heard about the fusion thing, by now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a week and a half or whatever
Right.
it's been now. But I just thought that was amazing.
That is amazing.
I was really inspired by Neil deGrasse Tyson's words. Just like this could be a game changer that the planet needs. Serious
frankly,
game changer, and like they've been working on this forever.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing to be alive at the time when they finally succeeded in doing it.
Well, look what he was even saying. Like, it's actually something they thought maybe they would accomplish in the 80s or something, mm-hmm. but a lot of funding for science and stuff like that dried up after the end of the Cold War. So, like, it kind of slowed a lot of research down and stuff, unfortunately. Where like if we were still like in ultra competitive mode with the USSR type thing, like maybe that just. They might have invented it already,
right?
But that stopped. Obviously, anyway, they technically invented fusion when they invented the first hydrogen bomb.
Right.
That's an uncontrolled fusion reaction, and so like that.
Yeah, they want to
it blows up a whole city. The hydrogen bomb. That's the reason why they liked hydrogen bombs at the in the 60s was because like they could blow up a whole city and not have the radioactive waste coming from it, like the bombs of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, like the fission bombs leave a lot of radiation, so it's a big mess.
Yep.
But the hydrogen bombs, the fusion bombs, are more advanced, right? And so like that's like combining two hydrogen atoms, right? And like that causes a massive explosion as well without any radioactivity. So the beauty of this is we won't have that radioactive waste.
Correct.
If we can start building these fusion reactors or figure them out or whatever, the amazing thing is that they'll have a relatively harmless form of energy, production. Unlimited. Yeah, I mean harmless. I say harmless mm-hmm. though, because like it's not going to be pumping out a bunch of radioactive decay or like coal. Mm-hmm. It's not going to pump out a bunch of shit into the ozone.
Right.
That's the game changer. That's the thing that everybody's been waiting for. I'm sure it'll still be the way everything works. It'll be decades before it really gets off the ground or something. But you never know. It might be one of those things where it'll happen faster than we think too. Now that they have proof that they can do it, mm-hmm. He was comparing it like the comparison that he was making was from like the horse to the automobile.
Right.
Like that happened in like a couple years.
Yep.
Like it was just like bam. Then like you better get a car, man, because you ain't gonna get anywhere on that horse.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the same thing might happen with this too. It might happen faster than people realize. So we'll see. But as soon as they figure out they can make money off it and sell the electricity, and they can basically get it from nothing, like that's there you go.
I thought it was interesting when Neil was explaining that the biggest problem the scientists were faced with, wasn't fusing the two things together, but a containment, something to contain it.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Like they could definitely do it, make it a bomb.
Yeah.
But they couldn't contain it.
Yeah, to make it like
And that's why he said now
interesting.
It's up to engineers now to figure that out.
And I'm sure they're going to figure it out and make it smaller and smaller and smaller so that eventually we have like a pocket-sized unlimited energy thing.
I don't know about that, but that'd be awesome. Yeah. Have a little fusion powered. Have Mr. Fusion like on the back of a DeLorean, like in Back to the Future. Yeah, just throw in some trash and there you go. Mm-hmm. Get anything out of anything.
That'd be excellent if that worked too, because then we could clean up all the landfills and use it for energy.
Yeah. That was freaking sweet. I know. I'm looking forward to having a Mr. Fusion to power my car.
Yep.
Up to 88 miles per hour.
Right.
That's my plan. Where the hell is it?
Yep.
So yeah, I just thought that was a freaking great announcement. The head of this department now, former governor of this state, Jennifer Granholm, I might add.
Yes.
That's pretty freaking incredible too. You know what I mean? She got to make the announcement and everything like that.
Exciting.
So good for her.
Yay.
Yep. She's at the forefront of all the NITO technology right now. That's freaking sweet. Actually, I'm really happy for her. So.
Yep. Me too.
Anyway, on top of that, I was going to say, I want to try to stick to positive news for the beginning of this if I can. Because it goes downhill so quick. It gets so dark.
We humans.
No. Just our podcast, gets so dark. It's
I know.
I'm not to say humans are dark. I'm just saying our podcast gets really doom and gloom. And I'm trying to keep it not as dark if I can't help it. But I did you have anything else you want to add?
Not about that. I'm just super excited for that to have happened, and yeah, the funny things. I think funny and lightheartedness goes right into the Mike Shirky speech. Talk about funny.
What?
The Mike Shirky speech.
Oh yeah.
Farewell speech.
I don't know if that's really funny exactly. Okay, so if we're gonna talk about that, then now it is gonna go downhill. So sorry, now we're on to the negative. Okay, so the negative thing about this story, which I guess happened on December 7th or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike Shirky, the former, well, he's still the Speaker of the Senate, the leader of the Senate in Michigan. He gave some insano speech, his outgoing speech, because he's no longer going to be in charge of the Michigan Senate. Apparently, these are the people that have been running things, the Senate Majority Leader, that's what he's called. Yep. Let me see if I can find any little snippets here of this speech. Okay. He criticized Governor Whitmer, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, so then he went on this crazy, he thanked his family, blah, 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 blah. And he went on a diatribe. This portion of his speech started as a critique of Governor Whitmer's leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm citing the Detroit Free Press here. Yep. A common source of angst for Shirky and many conservatives, including misinformation about the virus he has shared before. But it went much further, veering into a takedown of what he described as little G gods that he contends will imperil the country in far greater ways, in ways far greater than the pandemic that killed more than 1 million people in the U.S. These are the next threats that will make COVID-19 an elementary memory. Okay, little G gods like ESG, okay, climate change, gun control, child sacrifice, trans whatever, when you can contact central bank digital currencies, artificial intelligence, agricultural demonization, critical race theory, and the list goes on. Shirky said, the intent behind this little G gods is to achieve one world governance, one world religions, one world healthcare, one world control, and the elimination of sovereignty. He went on suggesting the World Economic Forum was working with powerful multinational corporations to create this quote-unquote New World Order. Well, Shirky did not elaborate on his perceived ties between agriculture and child sacrifice.
Oh my God! Okay.
This is funny. The list included any number of concepts that conservatives despise. ESG is environmental, social, and governance investing. Okay. But has become something of a catch-all for concepts many conservatives dislike. I'm not familiar with that, are you? I've never heard ESG or...
Nope.
So it's a type of investing?
Okay.
Governance investing? I didn't know you could invest in the government. All right. Critical race theory broadly addresses the historical and ongoing impact of systemic racism. Both Tudor Dixon and Matthew Perno, Michigan Republican candidates for governor and attorney general, respectively, vilified the concepts on the campaign trail. Voters resoundingly rejected both candidates, and Republicans wound up and down the ballot during the recent midterm election. Shirky's comments echo a number of conspiracy theories tracked by the Anti-Defamation League and others. The concept suggests a global cabal of elites are working to erode the U.S. governmental structure and its society. There's no evidence of this, but supporters of these theories point to a number of statements or actions by local, national, or international leaders to suggest something untoward is afoot. Senator Jeremy Moss, Democrat from Southfield, and Michigan's first openly gay state lawmaker, said he walked out of the Senate chamber as Shirky started gearing up to launch into the meat of the speech. Mike Shirky has all the charm of your crazy uncle who spouts out conspiracy theories that he researched on the internet, up till you realize how dangerous it is that he's been leading Michigan Senate for the last 4 years, Moss said Thursday. That is completely outrageous, I want to say. So this is where it's led Republicans. Absolute power, I guess, corrupts absolutely.
Yep.
So they've had control for 40 years now of the state government, roughly. My entire life, roughly.
Yep.
You know, most of the people, most people who are alive, you know what I mean? What's the average, you know what I mean, person is like, what, 40 or 30 or something like that. I mean, hell, the Republicans have had like entire multiple generations to just do whatever they want in the state. And this is what they do with that power. They lose their damn minds because they've done everything they can think of to do.
Yep.
And they can't think of anything else to do, I think. So then they start making up bad guys in their heads. Because they have, yes, they plundered all the resources. Yes, they allowed all the drilling. Yes, they allowed all the, you know what I mean, chopping down of all the state land forests. Yeah, They did everything they wanted to do. They sold everything to golf courses. They're doing everything they can, you know. But, you know, there's more out there. There's a global cabal of elites that still they haven't quite got.
Even though they've had absolute power and control in the state, they're still trying to blame the other side.
Yeah, they have to try to blame the other side.
But they weren't in control in our state.
It's been literally 40 years.
Yeah.
So, since the Democrats have had a majority in the legislature and the governor's seat. And I don't understand how it's funny, all the mental gymnastics they must have to go through. So, but I'm trying to keep an open mind again. This is called Red State Blues, you know, for a reason. And I am trying to be I'm trying to see both sides, if possible, of some of these arguments. But this shit right here, this is just complete. I'm going to call it just bullshit. This is bullshit.
It's laughable.
It's just, come on.
And then his speech ending about something about the toilets being warm, and he stuck his hand in it to make sure, or to see if it was warm or not. Like, he literally went off the rails. Like, I have never heard a speech from either party that went off the rails this much.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. That's why I said it's funny. It's funny in a sick and wrong way. Like, it's just, like, unbelievable.
They couldn't accept losing.
Right.
They can't believe it happened here. They can't believe that the Republicans they've lost this state.
Yep.
Essentially. And almost, I mean, except for the very local levels, but they've lost the state, you know, except for local rural areas, you know, and that's, I don't know. And they lost it fair and square, in my mind. It wasn't like this wasn't a matter of, like, you know, like the Democrats lied and cheated and steal to get their way. Although I'm sure that he is saying that and thinking that. This is not a matter of that, though. In this case, the Independent Citizens Redistricting Committee tried their best to make most of the seats equal.
Right.
So there's some seats that are going to go Republican every time, like where we live in Macomb County.
Right.
I mean, like, this area is part of John Moulinar's area, and it's going to go Republican, like, handily to him every time, no matter what. You know, and most of the seats that are going to either go, like, there's some areas in Detroit that are the same way for Democrats.
Yep.
There's 2 or 3 or whatever that are kind of up for grabs, and the Democrats happen to win those this time.
Yep.
Because they got the voters out there to get them, you know, and that's just how, I mean, that's not forever, you know. I'm sure the Democrats will fuck this up.
Yep.
They always do. They're great at fucking shit up. They'll probably fuck it up in like 2 years. But, like, it, you know, for the moment. But, I mean, you think this guy thinks, like, the damn world's ending.
Yep.
A cabal of child-eating Satanists are on their way from the world government. You know, which actually, all of those theories, by the way, I should point this out, are highly anti-Semitic.
Yep.
Really, when it comes down to it, they have their roots in some bullshit about from the old days. I could actually make a whole podcast on this. I actually should. You know what I mean? Really
to make people understand where
about this anti-Semitic writings from the early 20th century that essentially came from the Nazis. You know what I mean? That spread over here as well. You know what I mean? And now are spreading throughout our social media sphere, these same sorts of theories. Whenever they say global cabal of elites, that's like code for Jews, basically.
Yep.
And I just think that everybody should be aware of that. Like, don't fall for that bullshit. It's like ancient Nazi propaganda that wasn't even really meant for you. It was meant for, like, your great-great-grandparents to try to get them to overthrow the government or something like that. But, like, Hitler's long dead, okay? Like, just knock it the fuck off, you know? Like, and it's, like, it's interesting that I've been hearing that, honestly, occasionally, bits and pieces of that, I feel like since the 90s.
Yep.
Like, I had a want to say a teacher who talked about that or something. I don't know. I'm not going to name names or say anything, but I want to say, like, I remember multiple people like spouting about stuff like this throughout my life, occasionally world government and stuff like that. And it wasn't until more recently in my life that I realized that this was all like bullshit. You know, not just. I mean, I knew it was bullshit, but I mean, that it was more than just bullshit. I should say that it actually comes from old Nazi propaganda.
It's a recycling of Nazi propaganda. Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
Yeah,
it's not really.
I'm not explaining this very well.
I mean, it's definitely wrong. I think that's what you're getting at. It's wrong, and it shouldn't be coming up, but it's definitely used.
It's used
as propaganda today.
Somehow today. Yeah,
by
believing in these conspiracy theories is really interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, it's not really fair. I feel like a lot of people kind of like grew up on the X-Files a bit, like I did, and you did, and like a lot of us, and then that mutated. So that was all in good fun.
Right.
That was great. The X-Files is great. It was a great show. That was a great time period. Yay, conspiracy theories. Everything was fun. You know, but and that you know, there were bad guys and everything like that, and they were fighting the world, whatever. And then I feel like some of those ideas got suddenly in the sort of collective subconscious or something like that, and then they were later used on social media, like 20 years later, like in the tens here, that like, oh yeah, we can like use these protocols for the Elders of Zion or whatever the fuck it was called. You know what I mean? We can use that information to like get people all afraid of like the one world government again or something like that. And you know, and now that's sort of in the subconscious of everybody our age too, from the X-Files time period too. So anyway, I don't know, but
there was a movie too back then that was all about the government secret under societies and all this stuff. That was like such a big thing.
There was a big thing then. Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of, they used it, they morphed it into and blended it with the propaganda from the war time. So be aware of what you're learning and what you're reading. And
no, I mean, it's like good to read it all. It's just it's like you need to be mindful of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not like you should ignore it. Mm-hmm. Like in fact, you should read it. You should read it to pay attention, to spot the difference between bullshit and not bullshit, which a lot of people have a very hard time doing. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be like, I don't know if they should start teaching classes on how to spot bullshit. You know, and once you get the hang of it, it's not that hard, I feel like. But it is really, really difficult, apparently, for many. So
how to recognize propaganda for what it is too, whether it's positive or negative for your side.
Yeah.
Seems like we learned that in school. I feel like that was part of like civics or something. I remember learning it somewhere.
I don't remember
like how
that at all.
How to
maybe that's just
spot the crap.
No, I don't ever remember learning that.
Maybe it was one of my teachers that made it a point or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. And this has happened over and over in our country too, with people try to exacerbate race relations and using the same tropes and the same everything over and over and over again. Yeah.
Let me look this up really quick.
Yeah. So on all kinds of different people, anybody that could be considered an outsider or other is who was targeted with this propaganda BS. So it's a way of distracting the public from what's really going on, kind of too. Like, let's listen to conspiracy theories instead of understanding how our actual government works and how to make change. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's what I think.
Yep. Oh, here we go. The protocols for the Elders of Zion was first. I don't even know who it's anyway. According to Wikipedia, it's fabricated anti-Semitic text purporting to describe a Jewish plan for global domination. The hoax was plagiarized from several earlier sources, some not anti-Semitic in nature. It was first published in Russia in 1903, translated into multiple languages. It played a key part and disseminated internationally in the early part of the 20th century. It played a key part of popularizing belief in an international Jewish conspiracy. So I feel like whenever I hear the words global cabal of evil people like that, it has its roots pretty deep in the early 20th century in like apparently before World War One. Even I didn't realize it went back that far. I guess, but yeah, so it goes pretty deep back there. I would not put it beyond anything. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think that this ties in brilliantly with what we were talking about in the beginning about being interdependent.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way you spot bullshit propaganda is when it blames one group of people.
Yeah.
One country.
Because there's not just one group of people
Right.
ever responsible for anything.
Right. We're humans.
That's just ridiculous.
Our
Yeah,
economies are tied together.
Yeah,
Our governments are tied together. This is
know.
baloney.
Yeah. There's a lot of assholes out there. A
Yeah.
lot of humans are just assholes. I totally believe that.
But that's one way people to spot the bullshit
But
when
you
it's
can't,
only blaming
one
one
group of people
person.
is not responsible for all the bad things.
That's
that
like a
happen.
straw man argument.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Anyway, so everybody should be very, very aware. Once they start ranting about global conspiracy theories,
Yep.
a lot of times it's a little bit of a code to their Aryan brethren.
Yep.
So it's a little bit of a code. They're talking in, maybe it's like dog whistles they call those,
Yeah.
or code words or dog whistles.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a whistle that like
Only
I wouldn't only
followers
if you're
can
a
hear.
follower of the far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, far right there would get that reference and like go with it, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's depressing. That's depressing that guy ran our government for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever.
But it is still a happy story because bye. We get somebody
well,
new
he's
in
not
there.
out yet. He's not out till the end of the year. But I mean, you know, it's getting there.
And
but,
thank goodness for term
yeah.
limits because that's why he's leaving is term limits.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I'm not actually a fan of term limits at all. Because I actually think term limits make people act more extreme. Myself, I think they might say and do things crazier. I think if they weren't term limited and they were comfortable in their position, they might be more prone to negotiate and compromise with the other side, which would allow more bipartisanship.
Mm-hmm.
Where if they're only going to be there 2 or 4 years, they know never to compromise, and they're never going to in 2 or 4 years. Why? They're going to be gone. You know what I mean? But if they know they're going to be there for the next 20 years, they're going to have a motivation to compromise because they're going to be working next to the same senators or same legislatures that entire time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they are going to have to see them on a regular basis. They're going to want to make some compromises with them. You know, and I think that if you look at like the senators like John McCain and people and Ted Kennedy and stuff like that from back in the day, before they died and stuff like that, like they made a lot of compromises. You know what I mean? With the, you know, as Democrats and Republicans, because they worked whole lifetimes together. You know what I mean? And they knew they would have to come to compromise in order to get anything done eventually. And occasionally, even though some politicians don't want to get things done, they do need to actually get some things done. So
I think our politicians, a lot of changes need to happen, but I think people need to realize the position they're in that I think that politicians have lost sight of their constituencies. And I think that they need to pay attention to their constituents more.
well,
And if they did, and they knew what true leadership is,
I think I don't know.
I think that maybe there would be some change.
I don't know if I believe that.
If you don't have term limits, though,
What do you
if you
mean?
have somebody crazy person in there, like
Yeah, you're gonna get a Strom Thurmond every once in a while,
yeah,
who is just like this bastard ass racist guy who never goes away. But his constituents loved him, I'm sure. Unfortunately, because that's who they were too.
yeah,
So he literally did represent them because he was them.
yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, I hate her, but I feel like she's a prime example of a nut job from, you know, the South that's extreme in every way. But she's not term limited, and she does represent the people that elected her.
Yeah.
You know, from what I understand, I mean that how she's acting and what she's saying pretty accurately represents what they believe. So I mean, it's not. You know, that's how the system is supposed to work. It's not supposed to be term limited out every couple of years. You know, so you just get a bunch of noobs running everything all the time that don't know what they're doing. And that constantly can just... Because it's really easy to get away with shit if you know you're going to be done in like 2 to 4 years. Anyway, I like what they did. I think the new law changed that a little bit and extended it a little bit to allow them to do a little more time, you know, in the legislature and the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
In Michigan, I mean, the proposition I'm talking about that just passed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would be in favor of abolishing them altogether, though. I don't think that's how you have good governance, is by just having a bunch of noobs running the government constantly. I think it makes it really easy for corporations to also to get what they want, because they can just tell them that, like, oh yeah, they better vote for this because that's what their predecessor did. Every time a new one comes in and everything like that, and they can kind of like screw them over. Frankly, I think they're much more easily corrupted and bought by corporate interests as well when they're all new all the time. I hate to say it, but when you get these cantankerous old men in who might be racist or not, sometimes it's like I don't want them to be. I don't want a cantankerous old racist to represent me, but I'm saying like when they're in there though for a long time, it's kind of hard to buy them. I mean, if you're gonna buy one, if it's a corporation. I don't know if McDonald's or whatever wants to build a new McDonald's, they're going to have to pay a steep price for that, and sometimes maybe that's a good thing. It's not that they're immune from bribery or they're uncorruptible. I wouldn't argue that, and I'm not trying to say that being corrupt is good. It's not. But I'm saying maybe, like, I think that, like, they might have built that into the structure of the system a little bit, thinking that, like, yeah, it's going to be hard to get by. Like, I think that they were probably thinking of the British. You know what I mean? It's going to be hard for British agents to buy off members of Congress or something like that. You know what I mean? If they're in there for a long time, if there's not term limited out all the time. And, I'm assuming, I guess I don't know if that discussion was ever had, but I mean, I'm just trying to think of what would have been the biggest threats at that time.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I think it would be corporate interests, I suppose. But, and the only reason I say that, it's not that corporate interests are always bad. Sometimes they're great, but I mean, a lot of the times they're not necessarily in line with what is good for society. That's all I'm saying there. But I don't know. That's my view. I know you're disagreeing with me. This is one, but I was just saying
this is how I'm disagreeing.
I view that's how I view. You're gonna make people much more corruptible by having them constantly in and out. So
yeah, no, they need a woman's council to approve or disapprove every single thing these guys do. That's what I think. They need a grandma council.
Grandma council, huh?
Yes.
All right. Can you explain that?
A little more like the Iroquois people, they have their matriarchs that can give a chiefship to a male person, and then if they don't do what the people want, they can take that away. And that's what they were missing when they stole the structure of the Iroquois people to make the democracy that we have now. They deleted that part where the women were part of it and got to have the say on whether if you're not actually leading for the people, then you are no longer a leader anymore. And that's like a grandma council full of wise grandmothers.
Well, I think that the argument there, no one's stopping a grandma from running for office. So, in the current system, I'm not saying that was a bad idea or at all. That's a great idea, actually. I think that's a great idea. But I actually would have agreed with that more when only white men only landed white males, only gentry, basically.
You hush your mouth. You tell me any of this stuff now. No, we have not had a woman president yet, so it's still valid.
I'm saying I would have agreed with it when only white landed gentry could actually be in office. Then it would have actually made more sense. But I feel like anybody can be in office now. It's just a matter of time before a woman is president here. So, in my mind, I believe that. So I don't know which party she'll be, but just a matter of time, I feel.
I think that there needs to just be more. I think we need to get rid of the Electoral College and institute a grandma council. That's what I think.
I like that idea too. I like that idea a lot.
The reason why is because, at least in our culture, in my culture, the elders, like the grandmothers, listen to the warriors who come back. The ones that have seen war and had to kill people and whatever, and they listen to them. And then they also, so they have that perspective, and they have the perspective of life-giving too. So they're going to balance that more, is what I think. Be slower to make up their mind and balance that more.
Yeah.
But that would have to exist within my culture, not within
I actually
the
think there's
culture
absolutely
so much.
nothing stopping a state from running its government like that. Or a locality. If there's absolutely nothing stopping them.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a grandma council for Michigan, that would be totally allowed. I mean, I imagine that though, what would happen would be it'd be end up purely symbolic.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, as far as the current system, it would not be that hard to implement something like that. I feel. How would these grandmas get selected in a state of 10 million people though?
I don't know.
See, that's the thing. There's 10 million people in the state, right? So how do you find like 10 grandmas? 1 million? You vote on each grandma?
Right.
I don't know.
It was easier.
Who's the most grandma-y of each grandma?
It's easier.
Or
in the
what about the
Haudenosaunee.
grandmas that are evil grandmas, like the one from Futurama? You remember her? Like Grandma's Oil or whatever? And she's just like... and then she like act like an old lady and then take off her skirt and then like smoke a cigarette when the cameras are off.
I have the answer.
It's just like...
An Indigenous Grandma Council. Mm-hmm. Because we
Okay,
believe in
actually-
interdependency.
I'm pretty sure
and
that
would look
there
out for
would
the
be
needs of
some
everyone.
legal problems with that, though. I think that there would be, because you'd be selecting a council of people to make decisions for you based on their race, which is not cool, actually. Right? So pretty sure that's illegal.
Well, you're kind of like arguing with me about this, and like when I'm saying this, the people that the Iroquois people who had the clan mothers, which is what our democracy kind of loosely is based on, who had the grandmothers council, existed in the past in an autonomous culture. Like, I don't know how that would apply here, but I just wish that grandmothers could have a say.
I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying you should come up with a system in which grandmas are either elected. Maybe they could be elected by other grandmas. I don't know.
Elected by other grandmas.
You could just have a grandma election, and they could just decide grandma issues. You know what I mean? Like, what are the best cookies to make?
Oh, don't.
So, you know what I mean?
Let me just say, Jane Fonda.
You don't like cookies?
Of grandmother age, and she's still out there Fire Drill Fridays kicking butt.
Uh-huh.
She is.
I'm not saying
And her
that.
best friend, Lily Tomlin.
You don't have to convince me that. I'm saying that, like, cookies are great, and why can't we have more? And if I was a grandma, I would run on that. And I would probably win. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's...
That's funny. We totally went sidetracking.
Yeah, anyway.
So sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Yep. So, Grandma Council it is.
Grandma's, yep.
Yeah.
Interdependency, yep.
All right. Do we have anything else to add today?
I think that I want to thank my ever hardworking engineer person who figures out all of these software doodly dabblers that we have to use to make this podcast, whereas which is Ben, and I just come in here and talk on a microphone, and Ben figures out all the other stuff.
No.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just happy that it's functional at this point. It's like basically held together by duct tape and like binder twine. And it's just like barely working right now, but it is at least it's recording us somehow. Yeah. I want to say, here's a word from our sponsor. Binder twine. It's the best twine for hay bales. It's binder twine. Yeah. Sorry.
That's hilarious. Duct tape. It sticks to everything, but don't mail it.
Yeah. But don't mail it. Yeah. Or it'll come off.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well,
well, we might not be able to make another one of these before Christmas. This is probably the last one before Christmas. Maybe the last one before New Year's and Christmas. So the next time we do one will probably end up being next year, 2023.
Yeah, because you all know who have families how busy this time of year is.
Yeah.
With all the things.
Yeah.
So happy holidays to everyone who celebrates something. Happy solstice.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Enjoy your time with your family, and we'll see you, I guess, next year.
Yeah, let me. I agree with you. I try to just think if there was any little news articles that we wrote down that we wanted to talk about this week too. Really, really, really quick. This is where it's. Yeah, we're not quite done yet.
Oh, we got more to talk about. Well, that's good.
No, just really, really quick. Really, really, really quick. I wanted to talk about the the judge. You were talking to me about this in the gay bar attack.
Oh yes.
And wait. Oh yeah, this was in Colorado Springs. Yep, that one, the gay nightclub shooting. Because we mentioned this. The only reason I wanted to mention it really quick is because we mentioned it before in the podcast.
Yeah, he's the guy that got beat to death, like not beat to death, but I mean, stomped by heels.
Down. And a judge dismissed the 2021 kidnapping case against the Colorado gay nightclub shooter, even though she had previously raised concerns about the defendant stockpiling weapons and explosives and planning a shootout. Court transcripts obtained Friday by the AP reveal. Relatives including the grandparents who claimed to have been kidnapped had also told Judge Robin Chittum in August last year. Wow. Grandparents were kidnapped. Okay. Anyway, in August last year about Anderson's Aldridge struggles with mental illness during a hearing in which the judge said Aldridge needed treatment or it's going to be so bad, according to the documents. No mention was made during the hearing of this July of the suspect's violent behavior or the status of the mental health treatment. So apparently he kidnapped his grandparents? Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
And live streamed it.
Oh my God. And they didn't even throw him in jail?
There was 2 different incidences of him doing this prior with weapons, planning a shootout and wanting to Facebook Live it. So
yeah.
When I just want to say, the prosecutors could have made a different decision and he could have been in jail and nobody would have died.
Yeah.
And I think that, everybody harps on see something, say something. Well, you know what? Legal system, you need to listen. When somebody says, hey, this person is acting erratically, they have a stockpile of weapons, they give you all this information, you need to listen. So please listen next time.
Yep, just pay attention. The judicial system failed.
Yeah.
Here badly.
Yep.
I would think they should have put him in a mental hospital and got him serious treatment then. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the hell. I guess I don't know. We don't even know the whole story, but what the fuck?
We're probably just seeing the tip of the iceberg in the paper.
Anyway,
but yeah.
I guess that I want this podcast to be. I need to keep doing this podcast, but I want this podcast to be like a voice for sanity.
Yep.
So I want people to listen to this too. To like, hey, you can be a not insane person and own guns.
Yep.
I guess you know what I mean. Like, and if you know somebody who is spouting bullshit about this and losing their fucking mind, and they have they have an arsenal,
and you know it,
maybe fucking
say something,
report something to somebody, or try to get some fucking help. You know what I mean? And maybe the judicial system won't really help you that much, but maybe there's other sources of help, like I don't know, social workers or something like that. Maybe mental health professionals. But I mean, like, hey, that's not. Maybe people around this guy could have. I'm sure they wish they would have done more.
At minimum,
point. Actually, I'm sure they wish they would.
They could have called and said, called the police and said, "Can you do a well check on this guy?"
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I'm not really sure what that would have accomplished, but maybe something. I don't know. I want more voices of sanity to be out there and more voices of reason.
Yep.
And
I want this never to happen again.
Need to have more of these mass shootings. Jesus fuck. And of course there's going to be more.
That was like our first episode was about it.
I know.
It's like, and here we are, over a year
and
later.
There just is more and more. And
yep.
Anyway, sorry to end it on a downer. I just wanted to throw that little tidbit on there. I just completely forgot about that, but I thought it was worth bringing up that he did have a history of mental illness, and that the system unfortunately didn't take care of it. So we need to take care of each other. Yep. I guess is so something I think that we need to, so... Part
of that independent...
Yeah, it doesn't mean just reporting people to the Gestapo. It means actually, taking matters in... mental health matters into your own hands. Like getting mental health help.
Right. You could call... that's why I said check. You can call for a well check from the police department. Yeah. You can call the social work office and ask them to do a well check that you feel like somebody is having a mental issue. That might be an option. It shouldn't all be punitive. We need to catch it. If you see something, say something. Catch it before it happens.
Yep.
Be kind.
Be kind.
Care about your neighbor. Realize you're interdependent.
Everybody's interdependent.
You're
like the astronaut was saying. Like everybody's interdependent.
Right.
Totally. So.
Yeah. So, happy holidays. See you next year.
Yep.
I'm a peak and wobbleman.